Canada. I'm Marjorie Quintos, coming to you from Montreal in the province of Quebec, Canada, bringing you news and commentary from across the country. Here are some of the stories we'll cover today. Canada plans to grant permanent residency to more than 90,000 essential workers and international graduates. Ontario strengthens enforcement of stay-at-home order. Government of Canada investing additional $150 million in better ventilation for schools, hospitals, and public buildings. British Columbia updates on vaccine rollout. Honolulu police under scrutiny for killing an armed black man in alleged burglary. Plus, some updates from the NBA. Now to the stories. Canada has announced plans to grant permanent residency to more than 90,000 essential workers and international graduates. These special public policies will grant permanent resident status to temporary workers and international graduates who are already in Canada and who possess the skills and experience we need to fight the pandemic and accelerate our economic recovery, said Mendocino in a statement. Quote, "The focus of this new pathway will be on temporary foreign workers employed in our hospitals and long-term care homes and on the front lines of other essential sectors, as well as international graduates who are driving the economy of tomorrow," unquote. To qualify, workers must have at least 1 year of Canadian work experience in a healthcare profession or an approved essential job. International graduates must have completed their training within the last 4 years. The government will start accepting applications May 6. The program will remain open until November 5 and until the 90,000 slots have been filled, whichever comes first. There are 3 streams of workers. 20,000 applications are available for temporary healthcare workers, 30,000 for selected temporary workers in essential occupations, and 40,000 for international students who have graduated from a Canadian institution. With an accelerated pathway to permanent residency, these special public policies will encourage essential temporary workers and international graduates to put down roots in Canada and help us retain the talented workers we need, particularly in healthcare system, said Mendocino. Canada hopes to welcome 400,000 permanent residents this year. Ontario announces stronger restrictions amidst increasing COVID-19 in the province. Eagle News correspondent Joshua Santillana reports.
On Friday, April 16, the Ford government announced the implementation of what they claim to be stronger restrictions in response to the rapid rise of COVID-19 cases in the province. Here is Minister of Health, Christine Elliott, with more details.
Effective Saturday, April 17th at 12:01 a.m., all outdoor social gatherings and organized public events will be prohibited except for members of the same household or members of a household and one other person from outside that household who lives alone. All non-essential workplaces in the construction sector will be closed, with only essential construction permitted to operate. Capacity limits for in-person shopping in all retail settings where in-person shopping is permitted, including supermarkets, grocery stores, convenience stores, and stores that primarily sell food and pharmaceutical products, will be limited to 25% capacity. All outdoor recreational amenities, such as golf courses, basketball courts, and playgrounds, will be closed. In addition, effective Monday, April 19th at 12:01 a.m., capacity at weddings, funerals, and religious services will be limited to 10 people indoors or outdoors. Drive-in services will be permitted. All other public health and workplace safety measures for non-essential retail under the province-wide emergency brake will continue to apply.
Premier Ford continues to urge the federal government to aid the province in stopping the spread of the virus and the deadlier COVID variants.
We have to lock it down on the province. That's not our jurisdiction. That's the federal government's jurisdiction, air travel. And I'm asking them to tighten up our borders coming from all around the world. But we need to do the same interprovincial.
The Premier also emphasizes the province's need in receiving more vaccines from the federal government.
It all comes down to one thing, the supply of vaccines. Simple as that. The bottom line is, this is the bottom line. Would we be in this position if we were getting 300,000 vaccines back in February, like the rest of the world? The answer is absolutely not. We wouldn't be facing the crisis with ICU. We wouldn't be having shutdowns. We wouldn't have the schools shut down. We need the vaccines. And, whatever, hook by crook, whatever, the feds need to get us vaccines.
Recently, the Premier was criticized for rejecting Prime Minister Trudeau's offer in deploying the Red Cross to Ontario. Andrea Horwath, NDP leader of Ontario's official opposition, took to Twitter and said, "Ontario is not in a position to reject help right now."
Once again, the Premier refused to follow the advice of the experts and is implementing weak measures that are not going to get us to where we need to be. We all saw the numbers and the charts yet again, and we're not seeing the kinds of measures that he talked about. I mean, he clearly talked about a 6-week shutdown beyond where we are now. But he certainly talked about some of the other things that we've all been talking about for a very long time. Things like paid sick days, things like making sure that the vaccines go to the hot spots that are necessary, making sure that we have workers able to take time off to get their vaccine without losing pay. We need to make sure that essential businesses are the only ones operating. And making sure that when we do that, we're putting the money in, we're investing to help those businesses to get through, and we're helping those workers to be able to survive when they're laid off from a more stringent shutdown.
As of Friday, April 16, Ontario has reported another single-day high for COVID cases with 4,812 new cases, bringing up the number of active cases in the province to 39,977. 1,469 are in Toronto, 851 in Peel Region, 491 in York Region, 366 in Ottawa, and 268 in Durham Region. In Toronto, Joshua Santayana, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
The Canadian government is investing $150 million in better ventilation for public buildings to help reduce COVID-19 transmissions. Here's Eagle News correspondent Anne Solmerano with the details.
As the COVID-19 pandemic continues to have an unprecedented impact on communities across Canada, the health and well-being of Canadians remains top priority for the Government of Canada. Today, the Honourable Catherine McKenna, Minister of Infrastructure and Communities, announced $150 million for better ventilation in public buildings to help reduce the risk of aerosol transmission of COVID-19. These investments will help reduce the risk of COVID-19 transmission by funding projects to assess, monitor, and improve indoor air quality and ventilation, including upgrades or conversions of heating, ventilation, and air conditioning systems, as well as community-based solutions in Indigenous communities. The balance of the funding, $120 million, will be available to provincial, territorial, municipal, and local governments and Indigenous communities via respective provincial and territorial governments as a top-up to the Government of Canada's COVID-19 Resilience Stream of the Investing in Canada Infrastructure Program. The COVID-19 Resilience Infrastructure Stream, announced in August 2020, was introduced to help flow more funding to provinces and territories faster so that work could begin quickly and safely, protecting jobs and supporting communities across Canada. Through the COVID-19 Resilience Stream, over $3 billion is available to provide provinces and territories with added flexibility to fund quick-start short-term projects. Several ventilation improvement projects have been funded under the COVID-19 Resilience Infrastructure Stream, such as the Queen Elizabeth Hospital in Prince Edward Island, which is receiving more than $870,000 in federal funding to improve the air exchange system and energy efficiency in its post-surgical and pediatric unit. Infrastructure Canada is working with its provincial and territorial government partners to amend integrated bilateral agreements to ensure that funds flow quickly and help protect the health of Canadians. And Sol Morano, Eagle News, we live in interesting times.
Joining us is Eagle News correspondent Kathleen Cruz to talk about vaccine rollout in British Columbia. Hello, Kathleen.
Hello, Marjorie. For British Columbia has announced that more than 1.8 million British Columbians will be able to register for vaccination as more age cohorts open up. As COVID-19 cases continue to rise, with currently more than 5,000 cases of confirmed variants of B117 from the UK, P1 variant from Brazil, and B1351 from South Africa. As of April 17, 2021, the age-based vaccination program of BC has vaccinated more than 1.2 million people with their first dose vaccine. According to Adrian Dix, Minister of Health, the major delay of shipments are from Moderna. Federal government offers to send additional doses of Pfizer in May and June. Shipments from suppliers can be delayed, arrive early, or arrive late, necessitating a fast and nimble approach to shifting levels of vaccine supply in BC. Additionally, the government continues to urge 55 years old and above to get vaccinated with their local pharmacies with AstraZeneca, despite public announcement regarding 2 reported rare cases of serious blood clots following the use of AstraZeneca vaccine here in Canada. NACI continues to review to adjust the age group to receive the vaccine as local pharmacies experience surplus of AstraZeneca and risk of expiring. In Vancouver, Kathleen Cruz, Eagle News.
Kathleen, thank you for that report. Question: are there any changes to the restrictions in BC?
Marjorie's, as of the 3-week bend curve that the British Columbia had announced about 3 weeks ago, there's not much changes after that. There's still no social indoor gatherings of any side outside of your residence. And in addition, people can still gather outdoor, but only in the maximum of 10 people, but at the same bubble that you are within for a couple of months. So other than that, people cannot still go for an indoor dine-in. So restaurants are still closed for indoor dining, but they can, if because of the weather that we are experiencing now in British Columbia, we're having really good weather. People are doing, they can dine in outside or in the patio if they wanted to. So not much changes from before, but the government of British Columbia still restricts indoor gatherings and some sort of gatherings outside your bubble. Thank you so much, Marjorie.
Thank you for your report, Kathleen. There's more news to come. You're watching Eagle News Canada. Welcome back. You're watching Eagle News Canada. I'm Marjorie Quintos from Montreal, Quebec. Honolulu police recently released body cam footage of the shooting of an unarmed black man who was accused of burglary last week. Joining us is Alfred Asanas from EBC Hawaii Pacific for more. Aloha, Alfred.
Aloha, Marjorie, and our viewers there in Canada and around the world. We're actually following a developing story in which the Honolulu Police Department, or HPD, recently released the body cam videos of two of the three police officers who were involved in the shooting and eventual death of 29-year-old Lindani Nieni, who is a native of South Africa. The incident itself took place on April 14th. And what we're about to show you are two sets of camera footage, one after the other, of the same incident from both angles. Now, we want to warn our viewers that there are some disturbing images and sounds. So please take discretion when you watch this video. Go ahead, please. That was the first camera. This is the second camera. It involves three officers and the victim, the alleged burglar. So, Marjorie, according to HPD leadership, they described the incident as an attempt to contain the situation. They described the alleged burglar to be unruly, and there were already questions on the procedures themselves. One of which is the most obvious is that the police identified themselves as such after taking action. So there's already a lot of criticism being generated for their actions. And again, this is a developing story, Marjorie. And right now, the lawyer representing the family of the man who was killed is now filing a lawsuit against the city government, and particularly the Honolulu Police Department. So this is just actually one of several police-related incidents that others also involve some shooting, which is really creating a tense situation within here in Honolulu, and also you have to account for the fact that there are some similar stuff going on in the mainland. So, but we have to remind our viewers and those who watch these things play out that, the incidents like these got to be treated differently, because there are, certain situations that are not necessarily identical from one place in the U.S. to another. So this is a story that we continue to monitor for more developments. Marjorie, reporting from Honolulu, Alfred Asenas. We live in interesting times. Back to you.
Thank you for that report, Alfred. Let's change the subject. How's the tourism there in Hawaii?
Well, glad that you asked, and we just want to let our Canadian friends know that Canada is still the number 2 international market, just next to Japan as far as visiting the Aloha State. Now, obviously, in the last 12 or so months, because of the travel restrictions, there hasn't been a lot of direct flights from Canada to Hawaii. I know a couple at the top of my head. You have one or two from Vancouver, and another one or so from Calgary. Right now, as of my last check, in I think it was last week, there are still flights from Canada to Hawaii, but some of them you have to go through the mainland to get to Hawaii. I think there's only one direct flight remaining to I think it's Calgary, if I'm not mistaken, to Maui. So the demand is still there, but because there's some added precautions and the fact that the airlines are trying to fill up those seats and accommodate travelers to Hawaii. So put that on your list, Marjorie.
Well, you know what, Alfred? I was thinking about that, but the weather here is getting better. It's getting warmer. There's no more snow. So perhaps if it's, once once fall starts to kick in, maybe you would consider Hawaii. I haven't been there, and for sure there's lots of,
Why not? Yep.
but
We'll help you out. We'll help you out in your plans.
Thank you. We'll do that. Well, thank you for your report, Alfred. That was very helpful. Now let's go to sports. Toronto Raptors guard Fred VanVleet is having a great season but had to overcome adversities, including testing positive for COVID-19 and recently a hip injury that has sidelined him for the past 2 weeks. Plus, former Raptors guard DeMar DeRozan talks about his friendship with his former teammates. Eagle News Sports reporter Tenny Somagi is joining us with the details. Hello, Tenny.
Hello, Marjorie. Fred VanVleet has had, or I should say is having, a productive season with the Toronto Raptors, but has recently been sidelined with a hip injury for the past 2 weeks and sat out during the Raptors' win over the OKC Thunder today.
I'm feeling pretty good. It's just
played in Friday night's game against the Orlando Magic and has struggled, but vowed to overcome this minor adversity.
Besides the initial injury that I had, I'm feeling pretty good. It's just one of those things you gotta take it, a day at a time. I'm sure if you gave everybody in the league a full body MRI, you'd probably find similar things. A little bit of wear and tear besides the initial injury that I had. So there was some things that they were concerned about, but I don't think it's going to be anything major long term. I think it's just something to keep an eye on. Obviously, I've been itching to get back out there. Haven't taken 2 weeks off. So, felt good to be back out there playing last night, regardless of, how bad I played. I just felt, this is what I do. This is what I love. This is my passion. And, anytime when you're sidelined, it's just it dampens your mood a little bit. Going to the game is supposed to be the best part of the day. And sometimes, you have that part taken away from you. So just happy to be back healthy and or trying to get healthy at least going forward.
Former Raptor DeMar DeRozan is still loved by fans and former Raptors teammates. The San Antonio Spurs guard weighs in on his friendship with his former teammates.
I try to stay in touch with all those guys as much as I can. For me, our relationship extends much bigger than basketball. I know Cal always get the gist of us always talking, but I talk to all those guys, whether it's Freddie, everything. And a lot of times it don't even be about basketball, it's just life in general.
We'll have more stories and highlights on the NBA throughout the season. In New York, Tenny Somagi, Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Marjorie.
Thank you, Tenny, for your report. I have a question, and for sure many people are also wondering, will the Raptors finish their regular season strong and be part of the NBA's play-in tournament?
I'm sorry to hurt the feelings of my fellow We the North fans, but I'm going to say no. Only because the Raptors have struggled throughout the season with injuries. In today's game against the Oklahoma City Thunder, though they have won, they were without Kyle Lowry due to rest, Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby. VanVleet didn't play because of his hip injury. So if they overcome the struggles, their injury struggles, perhaps they may take that final playoff spot for the play-in. But I'm favoring the Bulls over the Raptors to take that final spot. So I'm going to say no. Sorry, Raptors fans. But I can be wrong.
Uh-oh. Well, thank you for that, Tenny. That is our program for today. Join us again next week as we bring stories that matter to you. Visit our website at eaglenews.net and eaglenewslive.com. Also, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and on YouTube. Thank you for watching. I am Marjorie Quintos. We live in interesting times.